Komið sæl og gleðilega páska. So, I want to talk now about the murder which happened at Rauðagerði in Reykjavík on the 13th of February this year. Because there have been some development in that case, and I promised that I would make a follow-up video as soon as enough information has been released, and now we have some information. In fact, we have a confession. Now, the victim in question was an Albanian man in his 30s who had been living in Iceland for some time, and he is currently being mourned by, among others, his pregnant wife. Now, this is interestingly enough not the first time that an Albanian gets murdered in Iceland. That also occurred in 2017 when an Icelander high on God knows what drugs attacked two Albanians with a knife and killed one of them at Austurvöllur in the downtown center of Reykjavík. So the case is mainly being referred to in Iceland as Rauðagerðismálið or Rauðagerðismorðið. It's very common in Iceland that, you know, if there's a high-profile murder, something that's big on the news, that it's simply referred to by the street or place where it occurred to, and they add just málið or morðið behind it. Anyway, so an Albanian man in his 30s was shot and killed outside of his home. Apparently he was shot 9 times, including in the head, and a few weeks ago, or a few days ago more, the police actually uncovered the murder weapon. It was a .22 caliber pistol fitted with a silencer. Now, this is most likely an illegally imported pistol, or well, smuggled pistol, but it would be possible to obtain this pistol legally in Iceland, but I'm going to tell you about the main suspect in a moment, and just not sound like the kind of person that did obtain it legally. But yeah, but the pistol could have ended up in Iceland by legal means, but ended up in his hands by very illegal means. Now, for some reason, when I heard .22 caliber silenced pistol, the first pistol that came to mind was a Ruger Mk3. But, you know, that's just an educated guess on my part. I mean, now, interestingly enough, the police found the pistol not because any of the suspects that they detained told them where the pistol was located, but they found it while diving in the ocean somewhere outside of Reykjavík, and they said that, and according to the police, they simply found the pistol due to good old-fashioned police insights. So, that's pretty cool. Well, the media is referring to this as the most extensive, or well, umfangsmesta police investigation in our entire history. That's most likely true, but given my extreme amounts of accumulated knowledge in the matters of Icelandic crime, I'm gonna say yes, that's probably true, but there may be 1 or 2 cases that compare, you know, but whatever. But yeah, the very big development that has happened in this case is that we have a confession. So another Albanian, also in his 30s I believe, has confessed to the crime. He was interrogated quite extensively, and he did deny it for the longest time. Now, because this case is probably related to organized crime in some capacity, there was very high fear by investigators that they might arrest someone that would then confess to the murder in order to get the real killer off the hook. This is a common practice apparently in some organized crime circles, and since Icelandic prisons are seen as being very lenient comparative to, I'm guessing, especially their Albanian counterparts or most Eastern European prisons, for example, it would make sense that somebody would, you know, do some deal, you know, and confess to a murder that he didn't commit in exchange for probably security for his family or money or whatever, and would do out his sentence in an Icelandic prison, which again are seen as incredibly luxurious to prisons most in the world over. I'm actually very fine by that. The main objective of locking somebody up in a prison should always be rehabilitation, and yes, that would include if it is for a murderer. So, contrary to popular belief, the longest prison sentence in Iceland is not 16 years. A lot of people seem to think that no matter what crime you commit, there's a 16-year roof on how long the sentence can be, but that is not the case. Icelandic laws are very clear that there does exist something called ævilangt fangelsi, or lifelong imprisonment. However, no such sentence has ever been carried out, except by lower courts, but then the Supreme Court has always shortened them. The longest prison sentence on record was 20 years. That was received by a man which I interestingly share a first name with, and my first name was his middle name. Anyway, and he committed a murder while he was on parole for another murder that he had committed 10 years prior. And this is one out of only 2 cases where a person is released after having committed a murder and then commits another one. The other case involved a person that had psychological issues, so she was never sentenced to prison, what's the term? Unfit to stand trial. So yeah, so that was really more of a. So if you see this case as a failure, it's a failure of not of the correctional system, but of the mental health system. Now, a lot of people were arrested and interrogated because of this case, and in fact, I think at the very peak there were 14 people in police custody being interrogated, and the suspects came from all over Europe. There were people from, I believe, Spain, Lithuania, Iceland, Albania, obviously, and one or two other countries that I can't remember right now. This is still believed to be be connected to organized crime in some capacity. However, the exact motive of the murder has not yet been revealed, or at least the authorities have not yet disclosed that information. We'll just have to wait for the court case, I suppose. And well, the most notable individual arrested that is not the murderer is an Icelander, which is being branded and as most likely the drug kingpin of Reykjavík, or in Icelandic terminology, the largest fíkniefnabarón, so narcotics baron, we call them. And yeah, it is not known, or it has not been publicized yet exactly how he relates to the murder, or but it would appear that it probably has to do something with his organization. I plan to make a separate video just about, well, him and just the Reykjavík criminal underworld in general, and its history. I was gonna do that video now, do them back to back, but I just don't have the time right now, if you'll forgive me. I have a busy schedule with a bunch of other things also, so that's gonna have to wait. But when it hits, I'm probably gonna put it in the description of this one if you happen to catch this video later. I'll try to get through that one as soon as possible. Anyway, of course it is not known what's gonna happen with all the other suspects. I'm guessing something else has been revealed that is less trivial than murder, but maybe some drug trafficking or something there. So maybe this somehow leads to a part of a criminal empire in Reykjavík crumbling down, hopefully. Now, as for the police part, I've made videos about organized crime in Iceland and how it's how it's a major problem. And it's not just me saying that, it's the authorities themselves saying that organized crime, prior to the pandemic, obviously, organized crime was considered to be the biggest threat to Icelandic society. So yeah. It should, however, be noted that this was still the first fatal shooting since 2016. So, but one does, of course, wonder if things continue to be as they are, that there may be more murders like this happening in the future, but just no way of knowing. Or maybe this particular case will be this sort of stepping stone that the authorities need to finally put on their big boy pants and finance the police properly, and maybe we can kick this problem in the butt. I think one of the biggest problems with Icelandic police right now is just that there are too few police officers. Most estimates agree that there needs to be 100 to 150 more officers sworn in just so we could get around the entire scope of all the day-to-day crime that's going on. Obviously, big cases are prioritized, like this one. However, it's this murder case basically took on so many. It required so many resources to investigate that it's put all other cases basically on a massive backlog. So, yeah. But it needs to also be noted that it's clear that the police have progressed in the matter to its and how they deal with organized crime. For example, it was, for example, discussed a lot that there might be a possibility of there being some sort of retaliation for this crime, and it start some sort of circle of violence. The police say that they are stepping up surveillance, I guess, around the people that they are surveilling because of this case, and anyway, to make sure that something like this doesn't happen. So it would appear that the police are trying to handle this case as proactively as possible to kind of make sure that there's not going to spill into some the first Icelandic underground drug war or whatever. I want to note for the record, we still don't know the exact motive of why the man was killed. So, may not necessarily have directly to do with organized crime. It's just that the murderers apparently were. So, God knows what happened. But I'm guessing you don't go and shoot somebody 9 times, including in the head, if there isn't some serious reason for that. But oh yeah, one more thing that I forgot to mention. So the Albanian that confessed to the murder, he is actually wanted by Albanian authorities for, I think it was like a robbery or something, and he is facing a 5-year prison sentence in his native country. But yeah, he was not extradited to Albania, even though Icelandic authorities knew about it, because he had not been convicted in Albania. So yeah. Should also be noted that a majority of Icelandic police officers, I think like a large majority, but I don't have the numbers in front of me, are in agreement that Iceland joining the Schengen area was a mistake. So yeah. I'll leave you to talk about that in the comments. I'm not too tired to think about that right now. I should have filmed this video at a different date, but I just wanted to get it out there. So I think that covers all the important information about the case that has been released as of now. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video on this case if something more important is revealed. I mean, with so many people, so many suspects that are believed to be involved somehow, there's probably going to be a plethora of information down the road, and also of information about organized crime or whatever. And the exact motives for the murder, of course, have not been made public. So yeah, there's going to be more ground to cover. But anyway, I don't know what more to say. But yeah, gleðilega páska!